Right, welcome everybody to the meeting today. I'm just going to ask everybody to introduce themselves first. So I'll start with myself. I'm Councillor Samantha Dennis, a member of the Audit and Governance Committee, and I'm just going to chair the first part of this meeting and the first section of the meeting. So I'll pass on to yourself, Catherine.
I'll just remind everybody to use their microphones because the recordings don't pick it up otherwise. So I'm Catherine Byrne. I'm the Deputy Monitoring Officer for South Hams District Council, and I'm here in the capacity to advise the subcommittee. I don't take any part at all in the decision making at all. Thank you.
David Hancock, member for South Brent and member of the Audit and Governance Committee.
Anna Presswell, member for Totnes and member of the Audit and Governance Committee.
Trevor Kirkin, I'm an independent person for South Hams and West Devon.
Not in the political sense, he's an independent person that advises on standards matters. We consult in a consultative capacity. And this is, she'll just, oh, sorry. Doesn't come.
Amelia Volter, Senior Democratic Services Officer and Clerk to this committee. Thank you.
I'm Councillor Lance Austin. I am a councillor on Ivybridge Town Council, and I am here today on a purely independent basis, entirely representing myself.
Okay, so the purpose of the meeting today is to consider the investigating officer's report concerning the allegations made about the conduct of the councillors in question, who are the subject of a code of conduct complaint. So today we have 3 complaints to consider, in which the investigating officer has concluded that the code of conduct has not been broken. The investigating officer is Mr Mansell. He is the monitoring officer at Cornwall Council and has been appointed to investigate all matters before us today. Mr Mansell's not in attendance today. So the decisions that we as a subcommittee can make, we can either decide, we can decide whether or not to accept the investigating officer's conclusions, and then we can either decide to dismiss the complaint or refer the matter to the monitoring officer for informal resolution, or decide to hold a hearing to make a final decision on whether the councillor has broken the code, and if so, decide whether any sanctions should be applied. So just
to clarify, if the subcommittee decides they want to hold a hearing, it would be on a different date because it would give everybody, including yourself, the opportunity to make representations ahead of that. So that would be another deferred date.
So just to summarise how we got to this point, with all complaints there's an initial assessment. This is based on the complaint submitted and is carried out by the monitoring officer or his nominated representative. Then there is an investigation. So where the initial assessment decides no further action at this stage, that is the end of the matter. But if the initial assessment recommendation is to refer for investigation, then the independent person and audit and governance panel are consulted for their views. The complaint can then be further referred for investigation by an investigating officer appointed by the monitoring officer, who produces an investigation report setting out the details of the investigation and with a conclusion as to whether she or he considers the code to have been broken. So the procedure that we're going to follow today is the one that's adopted by the Audit and Governance Hearing Subcommittee. And the first matter to be decided is whether the public and press should be excluded from the meeting. There's a presumption that the meeting will proceed in public unless there are exceptional circumstances which outweigh the public interest in the meeting being open to the public. So we'll just do that now. We've received no representations that the meeting should be in private. So if I can just ask us to make a decision on that, unless you want to add anything at this point, Catherine.
No, it's quite right. Our constitution, the procedure rules for these meetings are that it would be in private unless there are exceptional circumstances that would say otherwise, and they tend to be things like the sensitivity of the complainant, bullying, harassing type cases. So those don't apply, and I've not received any representations that it should be in private.
Okay, so the representation is that we hold the meeting in public in relation to all 3 of the complaints. Can I just see a show of hands for the 3 panel members and myself? Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. So we'll continue on. Just to make sure everyone's aware that in terms of the decision, the committee will give a verbal decision at the meeting and reasons for its decision, and a written decision with reasons will be issued by the monitoring officer within 14 days. A summary of the decision will be reported to the next ordinary meeting of the Audit and Governance Committee, which is next week, and unless the subcommittee agrees otherwise due to exceptional circumstances, will be published on the Council's website. Okay, so we go into the first complaint, and this is complaint reference RP 487457 against Councillor Austin from Ivybridge Town Council. We have the investigating officer's report, which has concluded that after the investigation that there's been no breach of the code by Councillor Austin. So just a reminder, we are considering the investigating officer's report concerning the allegation made about the conduct of the councillor who is the subject of a code of conduct complaint. We've got to decide whether or not to accept the investigating officer's conclusions, and then whether to decide to dismiss the complaint or refer the matter to the monitoring officer, or decide to hold a hearing. So just to make sure you should have all had in front of you the investigating officer's report, any further material and information provided by the subject councillor or the investigating officer, and the views of the independent person, although we'll be able to hear directly those. And the subcommittee has also received a copy of an email from the complainant, which I'll refer to below. So, summary of the complaint. The complaint is that Councillor Austin, in speaking at the South Hams Development Management Committee in January 2024, misled the committee in advising that he was the Town Council representative, and in doing so he misrepresented the Town Council and abused his position as a Town Councillor in order that he could use the Town Councillor speaker's slot to express his personal views. At the initial assessment, the matter was referred for investigation as it was not clear from the complaint in what capacity Councillor Austin was speaking at the meeting of the Development Management Committee. The investigating officer's findings were that Councillor Austin has not broken the code. The investigating officer, in reviewing the complaint, the submission by Councillor Austin and the video of the meeting, and noting the comments of the monitoring officer, has found nothing that suggests that Councillor Austin was at any time holding himself out as speaking on behalf of the Town Council. If I can ask Mr. Kirkin just to give us his views as the independent person, please.
Yeah. I had no issues with the report and was happy to support it.
Thank you, Mr. Kirkin. Councillor Austin has confirmed that he accepts the investigating officer's findings of no breach, and obviously he's here in person. So now it's for us as the panel to discuss this and to ask Councillor Austin or Catherine or the independent person if any questions that we may have.
Members may not have any questions. It's not obligatory. You've got the report in front of you. So you just need to consider, first of all, whether you agree with those findings, and if so, what one of those options.
So I think we have to consider the other things that have been shown to us as well, which is the email from the further emails that we have seen as a committee. Are we allowed to do that?
Yes, you are. We have had some correspondence from the complainant saying that he thinks that the matter should be deferred to verify the facts in the investigating officer's report. That's not for him to say. I have brought it to the attention of the public meeting because I think that's transparent. But what the members have to decide is on the facts of the investigating officer's report. So he has said that he doesn't think the facts are have been verified and would like a deferral. The members have seen that letter. The investigating officer's response is that he considered the matter to be clear-cut and he hasn't got anything to add to his investigating officer's report, which you've all seen, that the councillor was acting in his capacity as a personal capacity, other than anything other than a personal capacity, And he's listened to the tapes. He's heard the views of the monitoring officer who was present at the time, and that was his views. And the councillor, Austin, was entitled to present a different view to the council, town council, having established those facts. The report does refer to the fact there was some confusion in the DM committee. I think everybody accepts that, including in the investigating officer, but it was clarified during the committee in what capacity, because originally they thought that Councillor Austin was there in his town council capacity. They stopped and asked you to clarify that, which is in the report. This is all facts. I wasn't there. Clarified the report, and it was clear to those in the, that Mr. Mansell spoke to, that you were acting, Councillor Austin was acting in his personal capacity. But we have had those representations. But the complainant isn't party to these proceedings, but I have assured him I would bring it to members' attention in the interest of transparency and clarity.
Thank you. Councillor Hancock, you're right, I didn't read that part out. So now we have to decide whether or not to accept the investigating officer's conclusions. We can retire to discuss this in matter privately if we wish. Do we have any? Where do we want to go with this? Yep.
Yes, we can. The members' room would probably be the most appropriate place for you to go to. They may consult me if they wish. I better loiter down there then, hadn't I? Keeps in troll all the way back. If you remember where the members' room was. They can call me to ask for procedural advice. I don't take part in the decision making at all on the matter, and I will come back and explain any legal advice that I have given them whilst they're out of the room. So, but I will go down and hang around, because otherwise it'll be a Keystone Cop thing.
Brilliant. Okay, all right, we'll be back very shortly. Thank you. Okay, apologies that took slightly longer than the 10 minutes. I'm just going to pass over to Catherine first of all.
Just to clarify for the public meeting that we've, I gave some advice on the options, in a bit more detail that we explained in the process about the 3 options that the councils had to do today and what they needed to base their decision on, which is the report.
Okay, so just to, the decision that we as a subcommittee have reached is that we are happy to accept the investigating officer's finding that the councillor has not broken the code of conduct, and the reasons for that are the reasons set out in the investigating officer's report. And that's it. So that is the end.
So that is the end of the matter. That is concluded. And as the chairman said at the beginning, we'll do a written report, a written summary of what's happened, which will be published. And I'm assuming you haven't got any issues with that being published on the website or anything.
No, the recommendation was not broken code of conduct and no further action.
Yes.
So you just agree.
Yes, basically, yes. In short, that's fine. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
So before we move on to the next 2 complaints, I will hand over to Councillor Bonham, and I think the panel members will change.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the second part of the Audit and Governance Hearing Subcommittee. My name's Lee Bonham, I'm Chair of the Audit and Governance Committee. Don't think we need to welcome people in the room, but we do welcome people online. Perhaps we'll just do a quick introduction to the other panel members.
I'm Alison Nix, I'm the Vice Chair of the Audit and Governance Committee.
I'm Simon Rake and I sit on the committee.
Thank you, both of you. So the purpose of the meeting, the hearing, is to consider the investigating officer's report concerning the allegation made about the conduct of the councillor who is subject to a code of conduct complaint. So we've got 3 today, but we've got 2 more to do. Just check I have the right one here. So the second one, it's the second one with Mr. Mansell. I'm monitoring. Yeah, the investigating officer is. Oh right, thank you very much. Thank you. Make sure I've got the right names. Right, the investigating officer for complaint RP 460315 regarding Councillor Molesworth is in front of us, and our options here are to decide either to decide to dismiss the complaint or to refer the matter to the monitoring officer for informal resolution, or to decide to hold a hearing to make a final decision on whether the council has broken the code, and if so, to decide whether any sanctions should be applied. Any further material and information provided by the subject councillor or the investigating officer and the views of the independent person can be considered. So let me now summarise the complaint and the investigating officer's findings, if that's okay. Okay, so regarding Councillor Molesworth, the summary of the complaint is, and the findings of the initial assessment, the matter was referred for investigation as it was not clear from the complaint whether or not Councillor Molesworth correctly declared an interest at a meeting of the parish council. The complaint is that at a meeting of the Bigbury Parish Council, Councillor Molesworth declared a personal interest in connection with planning application 1933/23/HHO. The complainant alleges that the councillor should have declared a pecuniary interest because the councillor was a near neighbour to the site, excuse me, and subsequently Councillor Molesworth should not have therefore taken any part in the debate or voted in the application. The investigating officer, on investigating the matter, concluded that the councillor had not broken the Bigbury Code of Conduct because the councillor did not share a boundary with the application site, and any financial impact on the development on the councillor's property was indirect and de minimis, and therefore he did not have to declare a pecuniary interest. Views of the independent person. The independent person is Mr. George Barnicott, and he has been consulted about the investigating officer's report. Mr. Barnicott has confirmed that he's in agreement with the investigating officer's finding of no breach. He's not in attendance, as far as I know, unless he's online.
No, Chair.
He's not. No. Okay. Councillor Molesworth is not present today here in the room, but he's confirmed that he is happy to accept the decision of the subcommittee. We now go on to deciding whether the code has been breached. Right, I've already outlined the 3 options for us. Don't need to repeat that, I don't think. Perhaps I'll now, if it's okay, open up for questions or feedback from the other members of the committee. Are there any points or questions or things we need to discuss, members?
I think that I find this fairly straightforward and have little trouble in accepting the investigating officer's report, and therefore I'd move that we do so as a subcommittee.
I'm in agreement with Councillor Rake.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm too. I mean, just to summarise, it seems from the facts that the councillor didn't live next door. There was no financial or pecuniary interest, as far as we can tell from the report. And the councillor did check with the chair or the clerk, or maybe both of them, about the situation before the meeting and followed their advice, as far as we can see. So I tend to agree with the recommendation myself, and I think we should reject the claim or support the findings. Any other points I should make?
No, I think that's it, Chairman. So you accept the findings for the reasons set out in the report, which you've just summarised.
Yep.
So that would be, and you're going to dismiss the claims. That will be the end of that complaint. That will be, so I will notify the parties. So what we will do on behalf of the committee and the monitoring officer, I will write all the parties within 14 days with a full written summary, and then we will publish the findings on the website and report it to the full Audit and Governance Committee.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we'll have no further discussion on this. That's closed. The report's accepted. Good. Okay, we've probably got another one now. Yeah. Okay, let's keeping Catherine fit by walking around the meeting room. So we'll now move on to case RP/460315, a case of Councillor Hinchcliffe from Newton and Noss Parish Council. We have the investigating officer's report, which has concluded that after the investigation, there's been no breach of the code. And we'll consider that because Councillor Hinchcliffe is subject to Code of Conduct complaint. Again, we have the same three potential conclusions. We can decide to dismiss the complaint or refer the matter to the monitoring officer for informal resolution, or to decide to hold a hearing to make a final decision on whether the council has broken the code of conduct, and if so, to decide whether sanctions should be applied. So we have in front of us in this subcommittee the investigating officer's report for RP/460315, Councillor Hinchcliffe, and any other further information provided or the views of the independent person. The complaint is that in chairing the meeting, Councillor Hinchcliffe incorrectly and to the complainant's view rudely told the complainant to stop recording a section of the parish council meeting on his mobile phone. At the initial assessment stage, the matter was referred for investigation because it's not clear as to how Councillor Hinchcliffe alleged to have spoken to the complainant and the reasons why he stopped filming and whether there was a breach of the code. The investigating officer's findings, the conclusion was that there's not been a breach of the code and that no further action be taken. The investigating officer in reviewing the complaint did not consider that the judgment call made by Councillor Hinchcliffe as chairman to stop the filming of a member of the public in the specific circumstances or the way that councillor addressed the complainant was a breach of the code. The independent person, Mr. George Barnicott, has been consulted and has confirmed that he's in agreement with the investigating officer's finding of no breach, and he's not in attendance here, but he's given his report to us. And Councillor Hinchcliffe is not present in the meeting, he may be online, but has confirmed that he accepts the investigating officer's findings. And the subcommittee, as I mentioned, got three different choices of how to proceed, as I mentioned before. So let's move then to discussion and consideration of the case. Perhaps I'll open it up again as before. Maybe Councillor Nix can go first this time if you'd like to.
I agree with the findings of the report that in this case, there's been no breach of code of conduct.
Whilst overall I tend to agree, I found some of the report a little bit impenetrable and rather confusing. But I think that overall, and given the measures that have already been taken at the council to clarify their policy on filming, etc., then I think. But yes, it seemed to me that sometimes the report says subject member. It's just that if we're adopting the report and it's a bit garbled, then it doesn't feel quite right, but I agree with the conclusion of the report.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Rigg. But are there any points that you wish we or suggest we debate, or is it a matter of the expression and the language used, which I know you're an expert in, by the way?
Enthusiastic amateur. I think that no, I don't think we can debate them because it's hard. I think it would be hard to unpick without the parties providing further clarification. It's the section in the response from the subject member. I mean, for instance, it says, with regards to the part of the complaint where it is alleged that the subject member was rude to the complainant, the subject member has said that he is not in the habit of being rude to anybody, least of all the chair of a public meeting, but I thought he was the chair of the public meeting.
Maybe it should be as the chair.
Well, perhaps. Yeah. And the issue of the acrimonious discussion, I'm not sure that all the dramatis personae of that paragraph are actually correct. I don't know who was in acrimonious discussion with the person being filmed, but I suspect it's more likely to be the complainant than the subject member from context. But anyway, that being said, I don't want to hold us up. I think the conclusions are correct, and I'm happy to proceed on that basis.
Yeah, thanks both of you. I mean, again, I tend to agree. I think that on the balance of the case here, the chair had a reasonable grounds to request filming to be stopped. It seems that's possible in some cases, and maybe it wasn't done in the most polite way, perhaps. Sometimes as chair you can get a bit excited, but I think what's also pleasing to see is that there has been an apology given in this case. So, yes, Councillor Rigg.
As far as I could tell from the report, the apology came not from the subject member, but from a different member of the parish council.
Can we clarify that? That doesn't seem the way my reading of it.
That was my reading of it.
Oh, was it different? Okay, my mistake then. All right. Well, that's not how I read it, but okay, it would be good then, perhaps, if there was an apology given by the person involved. But even leaving that aside, the chair had a right to request filming be stopped, even if a reason should have been given or should have been checked by the chair as to whether the member of the public wanted the filming to be stopped. So I think there's no breach here, and therefore I think as a subcommittee we're accepting the recommendation for the reasons given. So I think that concludes the third case. Catherine?
Yes, Chairman, thank you very much. As we mentioned at the beginning, but just to repeat, I will do on behalf of the monitoring officer a written report summarising the hearing today, or the proceedings today, and send that to all of the relevant parties, and we will publish the summary on the council's website, and it will be reported to your full committee in due course. So
okay, thank you. So yes,
a question to Catherine, I think, is in future, for future reference, if I have such questions about the content or expression of a report, is it in order, and would it be helpful to raise those prior to the meeting rather than at it?
yes, Chairman, that's perfectly acceptable, and the investigating officer said that he was quite happy to answer any questions in advance, and I think I put it in one of my emails. So to stress that is absolutely fine, and we can get to, he can clarify anything in advance should you wish it to be. Not a problem.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the floor? No? Okay, well, let's close the meeting then. Thank you, Catherine. Amelia, for your help. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everyone who attended.